I'm John Oetjens, and welcome to Schooling Around. Today we go from counseling to camp. We start with a visit to the OHS guidance office to find out about preparing for careers. Then we step down the hall to Krista Price's Black Box Theater to see what's in store for this year. Then over to Oxford Elementary, where we find out what our kids were doing last summer. You might be surprised. And finally, off to 5th grade camp with our Lakeville Elementary kids. Stay tuned. So, when did you start to think about what you wanted to be when you grew up? We stopped by our OHS counseling office to find out how we put our kids on the right path. Counselor Jeremy LaValle guides us along, and it starts sooner than we might imagine.
The students in Oxford start working through a website called Career Cruising starting in 7th grade, and each year the counselors work with them through different activities and surveys and tasks on there that helps them to identify possible career goals and then to better learn about what steps they need to take to achieve those career goals. So, is college required for the career they want? If so, what colleges offer the programs or degree plans that lead toward that? And then what steps do you have to take to get into those colleges that will ultimately lead you to the career that you have chosen? It's a great tool that we use. Like I said, it starts in 7th grade and then it gets built upon each year. For juniors in particular, we help them to start identifying which colleges they'd like to explore more thoroughly, get them information about those. They can compare them side by side. We have colleges come out here to the building and give presentations. We communicate that to the students, encourage them to come listen to the recruiters and admission advisors present. Students are allowed to go and visit on campus either on the weekend or during the school day if they take the steps to do a prearranged college visit absence. We want them to spend a lot of time being thoughtful about where they would like to go after high school and then carefully work the plan to make that a reality.
So how do you guide them in choosing if they should go to college, if so, where, what they're going to take up? What are some of the, what information do you gather together to help point them in the right direction?
Sure. For students who know exactly what they want to do, we're able to help them find which post-secondary plans line up with that, whether it's military, going into the workforce full-time, or getting some additional schooling at a college or trade school. For students that are a little more unclear, there are surveys that we will have them complete that can identify some interests, some areas that might be of interest to them, and then we can explore those a little more carefully. We encourage them to take a wide variety of courses while they're here at the high school, dabble in engineering or business or art or radio, TV, and film production, what have you, to get a feel for some of the different things that are out there. We have OTEC that some of our juniors and seniors attend for a portion of the day that offers some more specific vocational and career focused education. And so through those steps, students are able to kind of fine-tune their interests and then progress on to the next level after graduation.
When you sit down with these kids, well, first of all, let me ask you this. What would you say the percentage of juniors is who kind of know what they want to be?
I think they have some idea. I mean, I think once they get to college or trade school or out in the workforce, they might change their mind as they have new experiences and enter the real world, so to say. But I mean, we have about 78% of our juniors that are planning, or pardon me, of our seniors that are planning to attend a 4-year university next year, and then an additional 13 or 14% that are planning on attending a community college or trade school. So most of them are pursuing additional education, and then once they're on that college or trade school campus, they will be able to, better decide are the classes and programs they're involved in there what still interests them, or or do they need to explore elsewhere once they start to get some more real life experience.
I know you have to be really concerned about the grades that these kids have in certain subjects that tie into their ambition.
Correct.
But there's more and more talk about student debt these days. Is part of the conversation the cost of a college education at different colleges, and whether you should maybe go first to a community college and then later to a regular? I mean, how does that discussion progress with you?
I believe that conversation happens more within the family unit itself. We present to students the information, the average tuition rates for all of the schools that they're looking for, so they can see what that is per year, how much of that is if you choose to live on campus or if you commute. All of that information is broken down through career cruising, as well as some additional resources that we provide to the students. I mean, there are pros and cons with every decision. Some students feel that going away and living on campus helps them to become a more complete person, helps them to develop some independence and some skills for adulthood. Other students stay at home and commute to a nearby college, save money that way, and that's the right plan for them. So those are conversations that occur within the family. We have resources and information to provide to students and families if they have any questions or if they need clarification on how different parts of the financial aid process works with regard to FAFSA, scholarships, things of that nature.
So what if a student doesn't want to go to college? More on that next. The need for folks in skilled trades seems to be the topic of conversation these days. We asked Jeremy LaValle about that.
We have some career-focused education programs here in our building, radio, TV, film production, some finance, marketing, website design, computer programming that we offer here in our building. At Oakland schools, there are construction trades, medical, auto body repair, things of that nature. So if a student is interested in one of those, we can get them plugged into classes while they're still in high school. Oftentimes they're able to take certification tests and leave high school with some certifications in the career that they want to pursue. That gives them a foot in the door and maybe a step up on other applicants. For students that want programs that aren't offered at the high school level, we have information about trade schools. We have many trade schools that will come and present to our students and provide them information about the different programs that are available through their offerings.
And the actual application process doesn't take place till the senior year, though, is that correct?
Correct. The summer going into their senior year, students should throughout the entire time they're in high school be preparing a resume of sorts of all of the different organizations or clubs, sports, things that they've been a part of, any volunteer work that they've completed, whether through the school, on their own, through a religious organization. If there's been any awards or recognitions that they've received, they should be compiling all of that broken down by year. So I know I can look at it and say, freshman year, this student was involved in X, Y, and Z. They received the math award. They were recognized for a certain number of hours of community service, what have you. Be compiling that all along, and the summer going into their senior year, they can start preparing their essays for college admissions. They can be contacting their counselor as well as whatever teachers they would like to have write letters of recommendation on their behalf, asking them if they'd be willing to do that. If so, send them the resume so they have that additional information to include in their letter, and just start compiling the information that will be needed for the college application. So again, the list of what you've been involved in, instances where you've had leadership experience.
It's like applying for a job.
It's a very lengthy process, and many schools have a completely online application process, so students have to create a username, a password, they log in, Then oftentimes they get a portion of the way through, and then they run into some information that they don't have, so they have to save what they've done, log out, go discuss with their parent or guardian, get that additional information, and come back at a later date to complete the application.
A lot of talk about test scores these days, and I know that's kind of a moving target because it seems like just when you think you got your mind wrapped around the situation, they change the rules. But what are the important test scores that colleges look at?
Well, this year in particular, that's kind of...
There's a new one this year.
Yeah, that's kind of a two-pronged answer. So for many years, Michigan has been an ACT state, and so students took that. It was provided by the state in the spring the last several years, and that was the primary college application exam that was used. The current juniors, they will be the first group to take the SAT as the state-provided college admission exam. So a lot of the colleges, the recruiters, the academic advisors that we've been communicating with, they are going to be looking for both sets of scores, because that not only is the SAT new to Michigan, but the SAT has come out with a new exam. They've completely revamped what they've done over the last several years, and it's a new test. They're not sure what scores are going to be good, what scores are going to be bad. It's all kind of a work in progress. So most of the colleges that we're communicating with are saying they'll be looking at ACT or SAT scores for the students. So although the SAT is the state provided test that all the students will be taking this spring, we're encouraging them to also take the ACT and use that to when they're applying to colleges. So they have two sets of data in addition to their grades and their accomplishments when they're sending off their applications.
Now, you know, we're an international baccalaureate district, and you've got people who opt for the International Baccalaureate Diploma program.
Correct.
How significant is that for these kids who are applying to college?
I think it's very significant. Almost every application that the counselor form for the student's college application, it'll ask something to the effect of, is your school an International Baccalaureate program? Does your school have an International Baccalaureate program? And if so, did the student take that program of study? It is a very rigorous program, and so a lot of the work that the IB diploma students are doing their junior and senior year is at a college level. And so colleges want to know that the students they accept into their university, that when they step on campus in the fall of their freshman year, that they're going to be able to handle the college level work. They're not going to be overwhelmed. They're going to know how to write research papers, and they're going to know how to give thorough presentations and do multi-step projects. And the IB diploma program does a great job of preparing students for college level work at the next level.
Very good. Any words of advice you'd like to give out to juniors this year about getting their act together and start thinking about all this stuff?
Sure. The SAT will be coming in the spring, and that can be anxiety provoking and stressful, or if you start putting forth regular preparation, start preparing for that test now. There are a variety of online resources. SAT is put on by the College Board organization, and they have linked with the Khan Academy, and students are able to log in, take a variety of practice tests, and then have a prescribed tutorial system set up for them based on videos and different materials through the Khan Academy, which will tailor right to what they need based on how they're performing on their practice tests. So the more preparation you can do and the earlier you can start, the better you're going to feel on test day. The more prepared you're going to be, the higher your scores will be. So do everything you can to start preparing now. There are apps you can get on your phone that'll give you a question a day that you can start cycling through. There are books that you can get. There are, like I said, online resources. March to Success is an online resource funded by the Department of Defense that offers practice tests as well as flashcards that can be printed off that allows students to start preparing now, so that way they give their best performance on test day in the spring. And then what we recommend to students who are able is you take the state prescribed or the state offered test in the spring, and then there is another test date in June. And so if students retake it, once they've seen those questions once, they know how it goes, they understand the flow of the test, they are a little more familiar with the standardized testing, retake that test in June, and their score, at least on the ACT, would tend to go up a point or so. The SAT is a different scoring system, but we are recommending, students, if they want to try and get the very best score possible, to retake that test a second time in June.
Oxford High School counselor Jeremy LaValle. Next we go to the theater. Stay tuned. Teacher Krista Price has been in charge of our theater department for over 5 years. It's up to her and her performing arts partners what we get to enjoy the kids perform every year. Coming up next is It's a Wonderful Life. We asked Krista about what she's taking on.
So we wanted to do something a little bit differently this year, and so it's a pretty big challenge, but we are actually doing the show in this black box theater space. So it's a completely different experience. It's going to be very up close and personal. So we'll be doing several performances to be able to accommodate audiences, but it'll be in a much smaller venue for people to really experience this show up close. So
have you done that before in this room?
We have done shows in here. We've done Steel Magnolias, not the main fall play, we haven't, but we did Steel Magnolias one fall. We did The Crucible this past spring, and then some other smaller productions, but this is by far the biggest one that we're doing in this space.
Krista tells us more about the production challenges and what's up this spring.
Completely different experience. I personally love directing in a black box space because it allows me to be much more creative as a director, which can also be way more challenging, but it really allows you to, kind of cut to the heart of the story and not be sidetracked by all the sets and all of that. Although we have sets and we build things and all of that, it's just in a very, very different type of way.
Yeah.
So.
Was there something that what was there that made you want to choose It's a Wonderful Life?
Well, I think it's just one of those classic stories. The last few years we've done shows that are less known, and so I wanted to choose one that was much more well known and kind of just one of the stories that's a beloved Christmas story. So yeah, that's...
Hey, I gotta ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you cast the angel yet? Because I've always wanted to play the angel.
Well, come on in. We'll have a guest performance. Yes. I have not announced it to that kid, so
I bet he's not as old as I am.
No. No, that's always a challenge of working with high schoolers is, making them look and sound, the correct age for the character. And I tend to be a director who does that with a lot of physical adjustments.
Sure.
So having actors really explore different physical choices, rather than just piling them with makeup and then they still look like a high school in their movement, So I really focus on a lot of movement-driven direction.
Okay, got a big musical coming up.
Yes. Yeah,
what
Mary
are we gonna do
Poppins.
this year? Mary Poppins.
Yes, probably the biggest show I've ever done, definitely here. I did Beauty and the Beast 2 years ago. I wasn't involved in last year's musical at all. But 2 years ago we did Beauty and the Beast, and that was huge, and this one's gonna be even bigger. It's there's a lot of magic, a lot of visual storytelling in this one.
There's some flying too, right?
Yes, yep.
And I believe last year was the first experience they had with flying.
Here at this school, yep.
Does that involve bringing a special company in to coach you or provide equipment or something?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's the only way you can do it. So yeah, we'll most likely be using Fly by Foy, which is different than the group that they used last year. But yeah, we'll be flying. Mary Poppins will be flying.
Tell me something about the decision process for the musicals that you perform. Is there a group of you who gets together and talks about this sort of thing, or how does that work?
Yeah, for musicals, it's definitely a team of directors. Yes, there is one lead director whose vision of the show is, being realized, but it's a team to pull it off. So as a team, we talk about show titles and begin to narrow down. We look at the type of students we have for that year. We look at, the budget. We look at what the community wants. I like to kind of switch it up every year so that we're doing maybe a little more traditional, a little less traditional. I tend to like the less traditional musicals, but yeah, we've kind of had the last few years being really family-friendly shows, and so I think that's a great advantage here, because we tend to do, even though it's not always my first choice.
Yeah.
But it's a team. It's a team that decides, and that includes, this past year, it included the band director, the choir director, myself, and the choreographer.
So are you already kind of brainstorming about what you're going to do for next year, or?
I always joke that don't ask a director about his or her next show until they've had time to heal from the last one. It's like asking a pregnant woman who's just given birth,
Yeah.
You ready for the next one? So there's always thinking and planning going on, always. I mean, when you're trying to sustain a program,
Sure.
there's always some of that. We have not had discussions yet about titles for next year, if that's what you're asking.
That's teacher Krista Price. Next, what our kids were doing last summer. Stay tuned.
Have you liked us on Facebook yet? If not, what are you waiting for? Just go to your Facebook page, go to the search bar, and type in Oxford Community Television.
Now we head across town to Oxford Elementary, where two very ambitious teachers head up inspiring programs to keep our kids going with reading and math through the summer. Krista Rushlow is in charge of the summer reading program there. She and one of her rocket readers tell us more.
I don't really know. I just really enjoy reading, so I guess it kind of just felt normal to read, because I normally do read over the summer. I just don't really keep track of it, so
Any special kind of books that you like to read?
No, I really like reading all books. It's just,
All different kinds? Yeah. History,
I like history books.
novels.
I like those too.
You like novels? Well, congratulations. I think that's just wonderful. What a great habit to be in. Now, do you read the actual books, or do you have a Kindle?
I have a Kindle. I read that sometimes, and then sometimes I read the actual book.
Ah, okay. Well, that's wonderful. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Thanks for talking to us. Now I'm going to go back to your teacher, Mrs. Rushlow. Please tell us, what is this program all about?
The program is called the Summer Reading Club, so it's a 1,000-minute summer reading club, and the purpose of it is to get kids to read over the summer so that they don't have the summer gap, they don't relapse, and go back to their slide. We call it summer slide, where they go back in reading levels over the summer because they're not practicing. And so I think this is like the 12th or 13th year that we've been doing it, and in order to participate, all the kids have to do is read and keep track of the minutes that they spend reading. They can read on their own, out loud, listen to someone else reading to them. They can read any type of book, comic books, reading on their Kindles, anything.
So you're giving out awards for their participation. Tell me a little bit about that.
So they keep track of it all summer long, turn in their sheet to their teacher in the fall, and they get invited to celebrate with us today. And so they get caramels and apple dip and a certificate, and they get to pick out a free book, and they get gym time. So playing and running around in the gym and having fun.
Stephanie Nemi heads up the summer math camp. We visit with her and one of her future engineers to hear more.
The Summer Math Club originated when we as teachers at OES really felt that we wanted to be able to provide students with something over the summer to help prevent that summer slide with math. So because we had already had a reading program where kids did extra reading over the summer, we thought that we would pilot a math program using the Moby Max math program online that we use here at OES. and use that to help kids keep up with their math over the summer.
Okay, so they're able to do this online, is that how
Yes.
it works? Oh, okay, now who is this lovely lady you have sitting next to you?
This is Adriana Reyes. She's a 5th grader here at OES.
And by the way, the kids who participate in this are 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders?
Yes.
Okay, Adriana, tell us a little bit about, well, why did you do this last summer? I mean, that's a pretty big job to do math over the summer.
Well, my teacher, Miss Nimi, she said that 5th grade was a big slide for math, and so I wanted to work and improve on my math so I can do good over 5th grade.
Now, how many hours did you do? Or minutes?
She did like 5,000 minutes.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That's really great. And were you in the reading, the summer reading program too?
Yeah.
So you were a busy girl last summer. You did some very worthwhile things. Good for you. Good for you. Now, how long has this program been going on?
This is the first year for it. So this past summer was our first group to go through and participate.
Next, we join some of our 5th graders for a different kind of fun. Don't go away.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website dogsaver.org and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
Our 5th graders go to camp at different times of the year. Lakeville Elementary kids were part of the early group going to the Echo Grove camp ran by the Salvation Army. We talked with teacher Ryan Wasmond about the importance of this.
Well, for us at Lakeville, we always have our camp at the beginning of the year, and the main point for us is for the kids to really collaborate, work on teamwork, and get to know each other for the beginning of the year, because at the end of the year we do exhibition where they have to be in a lot of different groups and learn how to work together. So we build a lot of relationships and a lot of real-world applications here while we're at camp.
So that ties in with International Baccalaureate.
Yes, it
I
does.
never thought about that. Wow, and so the kids are out here for 2 days?
Yeah, 2 days, 1 night we're out here, yes.
And what are some of the things they'll be doing?
There's the high ropes course, where they're up in the trees above, about 20 feet up in the air. They have the climbing wall. They have group initiatives where it's group activities that work together to solve problems. There is games. There's arts and crafts. They do a nature trail walk. They have a hayride with a farm. Sometimes they do fishing and paddle boating, but I think it's a little too cold for that this year. But they have a lot of different fun activities. We also do a campfire and a dance with the kids. So we do a lot of group activities together.
Sounds like you're going to keep them busy.
Oh, yeah, they're exhausted by the end of the night.
Mark McClanagan is the camp director. He tells us more about Echo Grove.
Echo Grove is a camp and retreat center operated by the Salvation Army here in eastern Michigan. We have been here since 1921, serving the community, local area residents, the Salvation Army in the eastern side of the state. We're also available for schools, churches and other businesses to come and use this as a retreat facility through the year.
Well, obviously I'm here because our 5th graders are here from Oxford, and you probably have quite a lot of schools coming here through the...
We do, yeah. We have all 4 of the Oxford district schools that have a 5th grade. They come here throughout the year, some of them in the spring. Lakeville's here in the fall to do their 5th grade camp. We have numerous other schools from the surrounding areas as well that use the facility.
Now this is a retreat center too. Just briefly, what kind of retreat activity do you have going?
We have, today we just had the Salvation Army Pastors Retreat, so we had 75 pastors from the Salvation Army that were here for 3 days. They stayed, did some workshops, had some food, enjoyed the environment that we have. We're right on Lakeville Lake. We have just under 200 acres, 450 beds. Our dining room feeds 500 people. So we have multiple groups coming in throughout the entire year. We're open year round. Have a large summer camp program for the Salvation Army Church, and also for our day camp for kids in the local area. We have lots of activities, from an in-ground swimming pool. We do the water sports right on Lakeville Lake, which are canoeing, kayaking, pontoon boats, fishing, paddle boats. We have some shooting sports for the archery, rifles, paintball, climbing. We have our high ropes course, low ropes challenge course, rock wall, outdoor learning center, arts and crafts, football fields, baseball fields, soccer fields, a gymnasium. So all of the great fun activities that kids of all ages can enjoy.
Now it's back to the books. That's Schooling Around for this week. Thanks to Kyle Snades at the controls, Dan Zweiss at the editing desk, and you for watching. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.